He knew quite well that the average male crocodile could crush through bone with a single bite.
The man continues to walk back towards his canoe when he notices that the beast is unfortunately still following him.
The banana boat of a teenage boy and his friend capsizes in an unforeseen storm. The boys have no idea that the water they are swimming in is a popular crocodile breeding area. This is the horrifying crocodile attack on BM Wusan. This is ultimate misfortune. Edward Morrison Warham, also known as Bidem to his friends and family, is the young subject of our video today. Undoubtedly, Bidem's characteristics defined him in many ways. Bidem demonstrated at the age of 16 that he would develop into a very promising young man. Situated just 4 kilometers south of Papua New Guinea, he was raised on the island of Sai. He was raised in a small rural village where children were free to be children, playing in the wild and spending their days on the island's banana boats, which are made of fiberglass. Bidem was an athlete by nature. From a young age, he was a big boy and taller than most of his classmates. His good looks undoubtedly drew the attention of several teenage girls. But Bidem was unusually quick on his feet, which made him ideal for soccer, in contrast to most tall and muscular boys who tended to be strong but slow. He didn't choose to limit himself to just one sport. He excelled at both rugby and soccer.
Black caimans are the largest of the alligator family and the largest predator in the Amazon basin.
Territory spent a lot of time and money educating the public on how to stay safe. Essentially, be vigilant and give crocs space.
When he wasn't instructing the kids in fishing, he was assisting an elderly community member in carrying their loads to the market. With Bidem watching over them, no bully or boy would dare take advantage of the Warham sisters. He especially enjoyed showing his 8 brothers and sisters how to handle a ball on the field, so the only thing we can surmise is that they were returning from Papua New Guinea and planned to use the boat to sail back to his island. It is not unheard of to sail to the other island to shop. It was already dark and the boys were running late for whatever reason. They made their way through the rain using the village lights. It would be an understatement to say that the circumstances weren't ideal. Though the approaching storm hadn't quite reached its zenith, the persistent downpour was creating a pool of water at the base of their raft, and the waves were gradually growing bigger. The boat's engine wasn't in the best of condition, which made the situation worse. The motor could no longer withstand the extra effort required to navigate the choppy waters, as it had been sputtering and coughing up smoke plumes for days. The engine died out of nowhere, 500 meters offshore. At first, the boys laughed at their misfortune. Fortunately, the shoreline was already visible and both of them were extremely strong swimmers. They had survived worse situations in the past, and this wasn't exactly a full-fledged storm. However, a big wave suddenly shook the boat and caused it to capsize in an instant. The boys dove headfirst into the surf. They had stopped laughing when they stood up. It was impossible for them to swim to shore while towing an inverted boat, so they would have to abandon the ship. It would have sank in an instant anyhow. The nearest dry land location was next to a popular crocodile breeding area. If it had been daytime, the boys would have known it right away. Not even the most daring children would risk their lives by swimming in that particular part of the island. Crocs of all sizes swarmed the area, and the females were particularly hostile to anyone who dared to threaten their young. However, this turned out to be the quickest and most direct way out of their situation. The younger boy lowered his head and launched into a freestyle, but Bidem chose to swim a breaststroke instead, which allowed him to stay above the water and watch his friend, who was swimming a few feet ahead of him. He would have been far ahead of the younger boy otherwise. However, Bidem assured him that he would watch out in case the young man proved to not be strong enough for the waves. In front, Bidem was standing watch, squinting in the rain and never taking his eyes off his friend's dark head, which was hardly visible due to the downpour. The storm had confused an 11-foot crocodile, which was a little further out from shore than it would normally go. But as soon as the boys were cast off the boat, it sensed them even in the darkness. They were moving directly into its direction, so there was no way this fantastic opportunity could pass it by. Because Bidem moved more slowly, it concentrated on him. It appeared to the crocodile that a weaker animal was trailing the group, but the predator speeded toward him under the dark water, would have defeated even a young man as strong and fit as Bidam. It went quickly and smoothly. It just sailed out of the water, slamming its heavy body down on Bidam's back, and lashed out its tail around, securing itself around the boy as they were driven down into the depths. Before Bidam realized that he was carrying 600 pounds of reptile on his back, the animal's body completely engulfed him in a crushing squeeze. The beast's death roll was unleashed as the two spiraled lower and lower until they eventually hit the ocean's sandy bottom. There they lay, Bidam's battle growing more and more futile by the moment. The other boy was completely unaware of what was going on behind him. He continued swimming until he arrived at the beach, by which time Bidam had passed away and the croc had made its way to the very inlet where the boy was standing, where it was swimming with its fortunate meal. The boy wondered if this was just a silly prank to scare him, confused that no one was behind him. However, Bidam was no jester, and the circumstances were already far from amusing. The boy ran for assistance after just 5 minutes of waiting. Bidam would have never been able to stay underwater for that long. He would have needed to surface to breathe. This was no laughing matter. In just a few minutes, he ran barefoot through the rain and brush and arrived at the village. He went to the first house he could reach and banged on the door. Both Bidam and the resident knew him by sight. The authorities were called right away, and before the hour was up, the entire village, including the parents, siblings, and police, was out in the flood, searching the entire shoreline and using floodlights to ride out the storm. However, they discovered nothing. It was useless because they could not see anything in the rain and darkness. The storm persisted the following morning, but at least it was not as strong. Finding Bidam's body didn't take them long. The boys were heading toward the inlet where he was discovered nestled into a corner. It was evident that the bite marks on his shoulder and his partially consumed leg that he had not drowned, contrary to popular belief. There was no denying the evidence, not because of the choppy waters, but because Bidam had drowned. He had been purposefully drowned, and the perpetrator had since started to consume him as well. They had to locate the beast now. Everyone on the island came to the conclusion that the animal had to be put to death. Everyone was inconsolable. Every house, company, and person on Sai entered a profound coma. The people were enveloped in a cloud of grief that is nearly impossible to express in words. They had lost one of their own. The boy they had celebrated at his birth, the boy who walked for the first time in front of the ant next door, the boy who had helped a girl who had cut her knee, and the teenager who would one day marry a very fortunate girl. Only a few feet from where Bidam's body was discovered, a crocodile that not only fit the description, but also showed some strange defensive behavior, was spotted by one of the searchers who was still out looking for crocodiles that fit the size estimated from the bite marks, one day after his body was discovered. It was looking for the thief and was pacing up and down the shoreline, murderously angry that the body was gone. The hostile crocodile lunged into the water toward the rescue boat with its head held high, only to be shot. As expected, the remains of Bidam were discovered in its digestive tract during a necropsy. All it took for a promising young man to be robbed of his bright future and brought to his terrifying ultimate misfortune was a bit of bad luck and a bad storm. Thanks for taking the time to watch our video. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share the channel, and click the bell to get notifications. Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching Ultimate Misfortune.